A federal agency could soon investigate the on-duty death of a Wichita firefighter.
The 12 News reporter Max Dutton talking about that this morning. He's live with the latest information. Hey, Max.
Yeah, and Felicia, Wichita city leaders have now requested a federal probe into the death of a Wichita firefighter. Ty Voth died just last month while battling a house fire. You might remember this was just south of Hayesville, and the temperature outside at the time was just over 100 degrees. Now, the city says it filed a request from an independent review of Voth's death through the National Institute for Occupational Health and Safety, that's also known as NIOSH. The program looks into line-of-duty deaths and then recommends ways to prevent them in the future, but does not determine fault or place blame. The city says the fire department involved in fighting that fire is all supportive of the probe request. At this point, there's only a request for an investigation. NIOSH will make that final determination on if they want to move forward. Guys.